Have you ever paused to consider why some individuals gracefully embrace peace and unparalleled freedom in their twilight years, while others, seemingly, remain ensnared in the very relationships meant to bring them joy? The quiet truth, often unspoken, is that as we journey into old age, the presence of a lifelong partner isn't always the unmitigated blessing it's presumed to be. For a surprising number, it can subtly transform into an insidious, silent drain, siphoning energy, constricting choices, and paradoxically making the golden years far more stressful than they ought to be. If you've ever felt that maintaining a relationship at this stage of life demands more than it generously offers, you are certainly not alone. In this revealing discussion, we're about to delve into 5 profound reasons why having a partner in old age can, unexpectedly, complicate life rather than simplify it. And here's a crucial point to remember. Grasping these insights isn't about shunning companionship entirely. Instead, it's about cultivating the wisdom to perceive the complete landscape and empower yourself to make choices that genuinely champion your well-being. Stay with me until the very end, because what we're about to uncover might just forever reshape how you view relationships in your later years. Let's begin with the first, and often most overlooked, aspect: the emotional burden of constant compromise. As your wisdom deepens with age, your capacity to tolerate unnecessary stress naturally diminishes. Yet the very fabric of many long-term relationships often demands an almost relentless cycle of compromise. In your younger days, it might have felt entirely natural, even noble, to meticulously adjust your habits, preferences, and even your grandest life goals for the sake of maintaining harmony. But as the years accumulate, a stark realization often dawns. The sacrifices you continually make are not always commensurate with the peace you inevitably lose. Simple, everyday choices: what to eat, where to wander, how to simply spend a quiet afternoon, can morph into interminable discussions, ceaselessly draining your vital energy and leaving you emotionally depleted. Consider the poignant case of Robert, a spry 74-year-old. For decades, he meticulously molded his life around his wife's every need and whim, only to wake up one day to the profound realization that his own deeply held desires had for years been relegated to a distant back seat. Now, in his treasured, later years, all he truly craves is the tranquil solitude of silent mornings. Yet, his wife, with unwavering resolve, insists on blaring the television the very instant she opens her eyes. It's these seemingly minor infractions that, over time, relentlessly accumulate, gradually transforming what was once a foundation of loving partnership into an exhausting labyrinth of frustrating compromises. The undeniable reality is this: after a certain pivotal point in life, you should no longer feel compelled or obligated to accommodate every single preference of another individual, especially when it comes at the direct expense of your own profound happiness. So many individuals within relationships find themselves inexplicably caught in ingrained emotional routines, perpetually managing someone else's volatile feelings, reassuring, apologizing, constantly adjusting. But in the twilight of old age, the sheer weight of these pervasive responsibilities can feel crushingly heavier than ever before. You might find that instead of relishing the freedom to truly enjoy your days as you wish, you remain ensnared in cycles, meticulously ensuring your partner's contentment, even when it demands a substantial personal cost. Here lies the unvarnished truth. A relationship that systematically drains your precious emotional energy in old age is, unequivocally, no longer a relationship that serves your highest good. At this profound stage of life, an undisturbed peace of mind should ascend to become your absolute top priority. Yet, sorrowfully, Countless individuals remain tethered to relationships out of sheer habit rather than genuine, radiant joy, tragically unaware of how immeasurably lighter and more fulfilling life could become if they simply granted themselves the courageous permission to step back from the suffocating burden of constant accommodation. Number 2. The erosion of true independence. Following the constant negotiation that often marks long-term partnerships, we arrive at another profound challenge: the quiet forfeiture of genuine independence. One of the most cherished freedoms of old age is the unparalleled ability to finally live life on your own terms. After decades brimming with responsibilities, raising children, diligently working, and meticulously maintaining relationships, you rightfully earn the liberty to act as you please. Yet, remaining in a relationship frequently means your choices continue to be inextricably tied to another person's needs, their ingrained habits, and their unwavering expectations. You might sincerely believe you are enjoying your golden years together, but in stark reality, you may be unknowingly sacrificing the very essence that makes this chapter of life truly fulfilling: absolute, unburdened independence. Consider the illuminating experience of Frank, a thoughtful 78-year-old gentleman who dedicated his entire life to being a devoted husband. It wasn't until after his wife's passing that a startling realization dawned upon him. He had never truly made decisions solely for himself. His entire existence had been meticulously structured around a continuous stream of compromise, influencing everything from where they chose to live, to what they ate, to how they spent their cherished free time. When he finally experienced true, unadulterated independence, he unearthed something profoundly surprising. He discovered he had never known the sheer joy of waking up each morning with no obligations, no schedules dictated by another person's needs, and no lingering pressure to justify his choices. It was a profound sense of liberating freedom he had unknowingly yearned for his entire life. Many older couples grapple with this quiet reality. Even within genuinely happy relationships, there's an inherent expectation to check in, to meticulously coordinate schedules, and to constantly adjust your own plans to graciously accommodate another person. It's not about disliking your partner. It's simply about recognizing how much of your precious autonomy quietly dissipates within the framework of a shared life. You may no longer feel at liberty to embark on spontaneous travels, to immerse yourself in entirely new hobbies without a lengthy consultation, or even to subtly alter your daily routine without first considering someone else's potential reaction. And then, there's the subtle, yet significant, mental independence that slowly erodes over time. In the intimacy of a long-term relationship, opinions often become intertwined, and individual perspectives can gradually fade into a shared consciousness. You might not even fully realize how profoundly your own thought process has been influenced by years of intricate discussions, spirited debates, and mutual compromises with your partner. But when you are truly, authentically alone, you are granted the rare and invaluable opportunity to profoundly reconnect with your purest, unfiltered thoughts. You vividly recall what it genuinely feels like to make decisions based solely on what brings you happiness, rather than what maintains a delicate balance within a relationship. Independence isn't merely about living alone. It's about the innate ability to navigate through life unencumbered by unnecessary constraints. The longer you reside in a relationship, the more you become conditioned to perpetually adapt and adjust. But in old age, perhaps the greatest, most profound gift you can bestow upon yourself is the ability to live entirely without those invisible restrictions, fully embracing your own deep desires without hesitation. Now let's move forward to number 3, the emotional exhaustion that comes with constant compromise. At first, okay, I understand. I will continue the story from the provided text, ensuring all your previous requirements are met. Number 3. The emotional exhaustion that comes with constant compromise. At first, relationships often feel like they bring an abundance of comfort, unwavering support, and boundless joy. But as you gracefully age, a subtle realization might begin to dawn upon you. They also demand something you may no longer possess the energy to provide, an unceasing stream of compromise. It's a slow, insidious drain, a burden so subtle it might not become evident until you genuinely experience its profound alternative, the serene tranquility of solitude, where every single decision rests solely with you. Let's revisit Robert, the 74-year-old man who dedicated decades to his marriage. He loved his wife dearly, yet he frequently found himself making small, incremental sacrifices, patiently watching movies he genuinely didn't enjoy, dining at restaurants that weren't remotely his preference, or constantly adjusting his daily routine to perfectly align with hers. None of these, individually, were monumental sacrifices, but cumulatively, they added up, creating an unseen weight. After she passed away, he braced himself for an overwhelming wave of loneliness. Instead, what he discovered was a profound, almost unexpected sense of relief. He could finally, truly, do what he wanted, when he wanted, without the perpetual need to consider how his actions might affect someone else. It wasn't that his love for his wife had vanished. It was simply that he had gravely underestimated how utterly exhausting it was to constantly, endlessly compromise. When you are young, compromise is an inherent part of growth. It patiently teaches you patience, deepens your understanding, and hones your ability to work within a team. But in the twilight of old age, it frequently transforms into something far more burdensome. At a time in life when you should be resting, reflecting, and fully reveling in your hard-won freedom, a relationship still relentlessly demands adjustments. You might not even fully grasp how much of your authentic self you've relinquished until you step away from the relentless dynamic of perpetually negotiating your needs against someone else's. Even the simplest aspects of daily life can become emotionally draining when shared with a partner. From deciding how to lovingly decorate the home to making critical medical decisions, everything involves intricate discussions, careful agreements, and, at times, unavoidable disagreements. For many, this constant process ultimately wears them down, leaving them far more tired than they should legitimately be in their later years. The stark truth is this: as you mature, the profound peace that arises from making decisions without resistance or debate blossoms into one of life's most exquisite luxuries. You are no longer obligated to justify your choices, to valiantly defend your preferences, or to suppress those small, persistent annoyances. And that newfound mental clarity, the sheer ability to simply be yourself without meticulously filtering your thoughts for someone else's approval, can indeed be one of the most refreshing and liberating experiences of all. Number 4. The burden of caretaking that no one talks about. When individuals contemplate long-term relationships in old age, they invariably envision comforting companionship, steadfast support, and an enduring love that gracefully lasts through the final years of life. What they don't always consider, however, is the frequently overwhelming and emotionally taxing responsibility that inevitably accompanies caring for a partner when their health begins its inevitable decline. And, tragically, in many cases, that decline unfolds far more rapidly than anyone could have anticipated. Take, for instance, the poignant story of James. At 77, he had been married for over 5 decades when his beloved wife fell gravely ill. He naturally, instinctively, stepped into the demanding role of caretaker. At first, it was manageable, helping with small everyday tasks, diligently ensuring she took her medications, and providing unwavering emotional support. But as the months inexorably transformed into years, James's own robust health began to visibly deteriorate. He wasn't sleeping well. He had lost a significant amount of weight, and his stress levels were through the roof. He rarely found a moment to focus on himself, and what had begun as a profound act of love gradually transformed into an all-consuming obligation that devoured his every waking moment. This is a stark, often unspoken reality for countless elderly couples. When one partner falls ill, the other frequently assumes the immense responsibility of full-time care. And while this role may seem inherently noble and honorable, the sobering truth is that it can be utterly devastating to one's own well-being. Studies consistently show that caregivers, especially elderly ones, often experience significantly higher rates of depression, anxiety, and even physical illness, directly attributable to the relentless stress of tending to another person's complex needs. It is a role that demands immense physical and emotional endurance, a role that leaves precious little room for personal freedom or respite. The poignant irony lies in this. By the time one partner eventually passes away, the surviving spouse is often left in a significantly worse state of health than they would have been if they had remained alone. And even in scenarios where both partners remain relatively healthy, the pervasive stress of worrying about each other, meticulously ensuring the other is eating well, diligently making medical appointments, and actively staying engaged, can be profoundly mentally exhausting. Many seniors who remain single or consciously choose to live independently in their later years discover that they entirely circumvent this challenging fate. Without the constant, underlying worry about someone else's health, they possess the invaluable freedom to prioritize their own well-being, meticulously ensuring they maintain their energy levels, their established routines, and their individual happiness. Loving someone is undeniably beautiful, but shouldering the weight of another person's declining health can be one of life's most arduous burdens to bear. As you age, choosing to prioritize your own mental and physical health might just prove to be the most sagacious decision you can possibly make. Number 5. The financial and emotional strain of late-life partnerships. Many people instinctively assume that having a partner in old age inherently brings comfort and an added layer of security. However, what they often fail to grasp is that it can also introduce an immense financial and emotional strain that was never anticipated. The later years of life should ideally be a cherished period of peace and tranquility. But for countless individuals who remain in relationships, they find themselves grappling with the added stress of shared expenses, escalating medical bills, and even painful disputes over money. Consider the narrative of Robert, an insightful 80-year-old man who had been widowed for over a decade. He lived a comfortable existence, sustained by his diligently saved funds and a steady pension, dedicating his time to pursuits he genuinely loved. But when he ventured into a new relationship in his mid-70s, his comfortable world began to shift. His new partner, unfortunately, had significant financial struggles of her own. Suddenly, Robert found himself shouldering far more expenses than he had ever expected, shared living costs, mounting medical bills, and even finding himself helping her adult children navigate their own complex problems. What had initially blossomed as a gentle companionship quickly and subtly transformed into an unspoken financial obligation. Before he fully realized it, he was dipping into his meticulously saved funds just to maintain the relationship. This scenario is far from uncommon. Many seniors who enter into relationships later in life discover that their hard-earned financial security becomes inextricably intertwined with another person's often challenging circumstances. While some couples navigate this delicate balance with grace, others experience profound stress when one partner becomes financially dependent on the other. It's not merely about money. It's intrinsically linked to control, personal independence, and a fundamental sense of fairness. Beyond the purely financial aspects, there's also a significant emotional cost. Arguments over spending habits, complex inheritances, or unexpected medical expenses can gradually foster deep-seated resentment. Some seniors find themselves tragically trapped in increasingly toxic relationships, unable to extricate themselves due to crippling financial dependence or an overwhelming fear of being alone. The inevitable result? More pervasive stress, significantly less happiness, and a crushing sense of obligation that tragically overshadows what should inherently be a fulfilling and peaceful final chapter in life. On the other hand, those who consciously choose to remain single in their later years frequently report feeling far more in control of their financial futures. They spend money entirely on their own terms, save without guilt or external pressure, and make financial decisions that solely serve their best interests. There's an undeniable freedom in knowing that every dollar they earn, save or spend, is entirely their own decision, free from external influence. Ultimately, relationships in old age aren't just about love. They arrive with a unique set of responsibilities, potential financial burdens, and often unforeseen emotional tolls that many people regrettably overlook. If preserving your financial security and maintaining your cherished peace of mind truly matter to you, then remaining independent might just be one of the wisest, most empowering choices you can possibly make. Final thoughts. As you journey through life, the choices you consciously make in your later years ascend to an even greater level of importance. While society often assumes that having a partner is an absolute necessity, the stark reality is that for some individuals, it paradoxically brings more stress than genuine joy. Aging should inherently be about freedom, the profound freedom to make your own decisions, to live without unnecessary burdens, and to unequivocally prioritize your own well-being above all else. The pervasive idea that companionship is the sole key to happiness isn't always true, especially if that companionship comes laden with burdensome obligations, debilitating conflicts, and restrictive limitations on your precious independence. Take a contemplative moment to reflect deeply on your own life. Are you living in a way that truly and authentically serves your happiness? Are you maintaining relationships because they genuinely bring you profound joy? Or are you holding on to them out of sheer habit, unspoken fear, or a sense of unshakable obligation? Every single person's situation is distinct and unique, but one truth remains absolutely certain. Your later years should fundamentally be a time of unparalleled peace, not unnecessary hardship. Whether you ultimately choose to be with someone or consciously decide to remain independent, ensure that your decision is rooted in the genuine conviction that it truly makes your life unequivocally better. Aging isn't about rigidly following outdated societal expectations. It's about making the smartest, most self-aware decisions for yourself. And sometimes, the smartest decision you can make is courageously walking away from what no longer genuinely serves your highest good. Continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.